So I keep interrupting, and it's hard not to when you're throwing out phrases like mid-quaff. But you say these things, you tell these anecdotes as if they're just kind of a day in the life, or that they're relevant only to you, and it's just not true. Pretty much everything you're saying has distinct relevance for people that want to engage in the music business in whatever capacity. What you've described with the Moody Blues and Peter Gabriel is your contacts reaching out and you becoming a trusted source. And God help us, the music business needs more people that are trusted. I largely credit my work in the music business for being able to be ongoing. It's because for the most part people trust me. Doesn't mean everybody likes me or whatever, but that gives you so much. And for you to be able to walk, A, know where dude is at 5 p.m, and B, go in there and have him embrace you in the same way that the Moody Blues did after you had been obviously on a tour with them, which everyone was miserable, and most of the time those things people are pointing everyone's finger at everyone else to say what's wrong with it, and you managed to keep those relationships going.
Yeah.
Can you just take one kind of quick aside, and what do you credit your ability to maintain long-term relationships and levels of trust with people?
Well, George, I'm a lovely guy.
Well, besides that, yes.
Well, quite. I think honesty. To be completely candid with you, I think that. Are you talking about when dealing with artists?
I'm talking about. I mean, we started this conversation so many hours ago with you talking about all the various kind of facets of the industry you're in, and so I'm talking about how do you have a career that allows you to be able to kind of jump from place to place and then find these seemingly random connections where people go, oh, Pete, let me introduce you. You're like Zelig or something, right? A more trusted Zelig.
Well.
Okay, I mean, you can answer that however you want. Dealing with artists, dealing with people in the industry, or just life and how to live it, as Michael Stipe would say.
I'll go with the life and how to live it bit, which is, well, for me personally, I'm not really that capable of guile.
Yeah.
I'm kind of guileless.
You're without guile.
Right.
Yes.
And so, I tend to say what I think and mean what I say and try to be as sincere about it as possible. Okay. And some people take to it better than others, but for example, when you're dealing with an artist in the studio, right, let's say, there are two approaches. One approach is to constantly spend energy saying, oh, that take was great. Yeah. That was a great take, and I really like that take, and there were so many nice things about it that I really can't even quantify how many nice things. Let's try it again.
Yeah, right.
And you can spend an awful lot of energy, apple polishing and putting a smiley face on everything and not accomplish or get anything meaningful out of it. So, I mean, certainly that's one philosophy in the studio that I employ.
Not doing that, in other words, not just being a kind of
using my
obsequious yes man type,
my version of tough love, which is sort of dealing straight and hoping the other guy can take it, right. Or actually, and we're kind of jumping.
No, I know, and I want to kind of segue back,
but I would say training the other guy to be able to take it, so that when I say it unvarnished, he doesn't take it badly. He thinks it's funny, and,
right,
and we're all trying for the same goal.
And part of that is relationship. I mean, and largely this conversation has been, you building relationships over time, and building a relationship with an artist in the studio is in my opinion, the most important thing. Before I ever set foot in the studio with an artist, which I do infrequently at this point, but it's weeks, months driving around in the car, hanging out, those types, so you can get to that point. I don't see how people walk into a studio, no bond whatsoever, and start critiquing someone's work. Yeah. Why would anyone?
Well, that's why A&R people get bad reputations, because that's really the role you play a lot of the time. And if you're a major label A&R guy and you're responsible for these 9 acts at any given moment,
right,
you can't really be part of each project. You have to be on high.
Well, then you're not doing A&R, in my opinion. At that point, you're managing stuff, and but you're not engaging in the creative process. And if you are, you shouldn't be.
Well, except you have to be. I mean, it all depends on what your workload is. My personal feeling at least in my experience, 5 projects was a mountain.
Yeah, a mountain.
Okay. But there are times when the release schedule and circumstances mean you have 7 or you have 9.
Oh, I
so
25. I just don't think you can do a good job with that.
you just have to acclimate your tactics to the assignment.
Okay, so segueing back to you're drinking beer with
Tony Stratton
yes,
Smith, yeah.
and so now he's I assume he does the deal.
Yeah. Oh, so within the same 3 hours on the same day, we acquired the Moody Blues and Peter Gabriel, and the Moody Blues
#1 record
went to #1, and Peter Gabriel, in its original life, sold about 400,000 copies, which for Mercury Records was a masterful thing, and
set him up to. I mean,
right.
What came next? Was there?
Well, next came Sledgehammer.
So okay,
yeah.
so
I mean, the album that we had Games Without Frontiers, and it had I Don't Remember and Biko and
Biko, right? That was the other. Was Red Rain on that? No, Red Rain was on So.
Yeah, but certainly it established him as an artist and one that could tour successfully and.
So did you A&R the So record?
No, because what happened was, if you want to get all sort of inside show
one
business
of the greatest
on
records ever made.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So what happened was, we got the record. We licensed it from Charisma, who was the worldwide rights holder. So it was the last record that Peter Gabriel owed to Charisma Records.
We're talking about So at this point?
No, we're talking about the third one.
The third one, okay.
With Games.
Okay.
Tony Stratton Smith, of course, I said to him on more than one occasion, Tony, your deal with Peter Gabriel's up, and we're kind of dependent. We'd like to sign him for the world. Oh no, dear lad, he says, I've been raising Peter Gabriel since he was a pup. He would never leave me. I said, okay. He said, so fear not. He'll re-sign with me, and that's that. He's always been with me. So I was kind of morally obligated not to approach Peter Gabriel directly because my deal was with Tony.
You might have been legally obligated.
Yeah, well, that too, but
tortious interference.
Yes, well, that too. So I was obliged not to, which didn't help because people would call me, and I remember distinctly actually. Peter Gabriel was on a tour of Spain. And somebody called me to tell me that David Geffen was riding on the tour bus.
But of course, yeah.
So that's kind of when I knew that maybe Charisma wasn't going to re-sign Peter Gabriel, and he didn't. So that So album was on Geffen.
On Geffen, that's right.
Much to my chagrin.
Right. Okay, but so you're now at Mercury. You've now.
Well, now I'm a hit A&R guy.
Hit A&R guy at Mercury at a really fertile time to be a hit A&R guy, I would think, right?
All times are fertile if you're having hits.
Well, I mean, just in the sense that if you look back. Okay, so go ahead. So what was the next path?
Well, then I had credibility. I had gumption. Yes. I had all kinds of things. So
gumption.
Gumption's good to have.
Gumption's good. You gotta have gumption.
So I guess I set about signing baby acts and anything that I thought had merit.
Give us some of the notables. Was this Robert Cray time, or was it a little after this time?
I think
there was right around. It was
there were a couple of notables.
Strong Persuader was about the same time as So came out.
Right. Yeah. So I think in between the Gabriel and the Moody Blues probably came. There was a very good group called the Rainmakers. Oh. Who in their day had hits.
I love the Rainmakers,
yeah. And there was the Everly Brothers, I think, probably got started.
You were more assigned to you did not discover the Everly Brothers.
No, I didn't discover the Everly Brothers.
Like Columbus discovered America.
But the Everly Brothers had not spoken to each other in 20 years.
Right.
And they were going to reunite.
No, it's good. That's a good assignment there. How'd that go for you?
That went great.
Really?
Well, I guess
there were no problems with the Everly Brothers? Seamless. Those guys loved each other.
The problem with the Everly Brothers was that one of them, Don Everly, would only do things for love and art. And the other one, Phil Everly, would only do things for money. And you can imagine how many times those two things meet up nicely in a warm embrace.
Is this when Warren Zevon was the band leader for the Everly
No,
Brothers?
they used to talk about when Warren was in the band.
Oh, okay.
But the band was fantastic.
Yeah.
As an aside,
Okay.
the band was Albert Lee on guitar,
Yeah.
Larry London,
Yeah,
look
sure.
it up, a Nashville session
Session,
drummer, Pete Wingfield, English keyboard player, and the bass player was a guy named Phil Cranham. Hi, Phil. I don't know where Phil is now, but it was a fantastic band.
Killed by one of the Everly Brothers.
Probably eaten.
Right.
But working with them was full of duress. That's true.
Yeah.
But the thing that's true about that is people that this is something I learned along the way. People that got to be famous at a very early age, and you have to appreciate that the Everly Brothers were famous in their own sort of Kentucky homeland from when they were 6 years old. I think Don was 6. Yeah, Don was signing autographs for his kindergarten. He's selling them for $0.25 or some such thing.
The money thing.
People that have been that famous for that long are not like you and me.
No.
And they're never going to be.
No.
So you have to appreciate that you're not going to be on the planet Earth, for the duration of the project.
Right.
You're only getting there when it's over. So it was hard.
Yeah, I bet.
Then came Robert Cray,
Yeah.
and after that Michelle Schacht, and then I was a red-hot A&R man on the planet. Yeah.
And that leads us to, well, probably there's a little gap in between, but then talk about the Pixies for a minute, because I think they're an artist. Go ahead.
What happened was, because I was red hot, there was a guy at another label who would collect red hot A&R guys like Charms on a Bracelet. That would be Bob Krasnow at Elektra.
Yeah.
So because I had become, the hot item of the moment, I did get a call from Bob Krasnow. And the truth is that Polygram Records had been a very, very difficult place to work. For all the, regular horrible record biz reasons why labels can be horrible places to work. In the 8 years that I did A&R at Polygram, I think I had 4 presidents. Yeah. And I think 6 heads of promotion. And, the industry has a love affair with its own musical chairs that did it an enormous amount of damage.
But it's interesting. I mean, that's not a dissimilar experience to most people in the industry. And we talk now about how, you're an artist, you signed with one A&R person, and they're gone. I mean,
that's a horrible thing to have.
It is a horrible thing to have, but it's not a new thing.
No, sadly, it's not a new thing. See, if there had been let's talk about the period from 1980 to 2000.
Right.
If there had been more consistency and less disruption of people being separated from their jobs, there probably would have been better artist development, more hit records, et cetera, et cetera. But the record executives loves to sit around and read Hits magazine and see who's in and who's out and who's hot and not. Right. So it didn't do anybody's artist roster or anybody's profit margins a whole world of good, I don't think. Right.